Next on the news, these Long Island teens are speaking out about the harmful effects of social media.
Everyone knows how to use technology mostly now. It's become part of everyone's day, so everyone's getting used to it.
How these young Catholics are fighting social media burnout. Pro-lifers gather in Lower Manhattan for a 1-mile prayer procession for the unborn. Plus, it's one of the most memorable moments from the pandemic, the Pope standing in front of a quiet and empty St. Peter's Square, praying for the world. We take a look back in honor of the 5-year anniversary. I'm Katie Vasquez. Currents News starts right now. Catholic school students are battling screen time addiction. The Long Island teens creating an award-winning app to try and stop their fellow classmates from endlessly scrolling, a habit that through their research they've discovered can have harmful effects on young minds. With almost everyone owning a cell phone, it's everywhere. Social media is part of a daily routine for many adolescents, including this group of Chaminade High School students.
Sometimes I just wake up and immediately I go to my phone, just start scrolling, like don't even think about anything, just go straight to my phone.
Top of the map.
These freshmen decided to see if they could change that, creating an app called Media Mindful.
Everyone knows how to use technology mostly now. It's become part of everyone's day, so everyone's getting used to it.
Under 1 hour every day.
First, they conducted a survey of 324 students at the Long Island school.
It told us that many kids spend shocking amounts of time on social media every day.
The results showed 96% use apps for more than an hour every day, and 60% found it to negatively impact their lives. The app reminds users of screen time usage, offers rewards for cutting down on time, and has an artificial intelligence bot to help with negative feelings. So how does the Buddy Bot work?
The AI recognizes keywords from your input and then makes a personalized response to you. So for example, if I say social media has given me anxiety, it recognizes the keyword anxiety and then makes a response for that word.
The team presented their idea to the Feinstein Institutes for Medical Research and Career Services annual STEM competition and beat out 32 other schools for the top prize, which was $1,800. They hope to use part of it to complete their project.
I would like to finish the app, make it working and available for everybody to help everyone.
Because they have experienced the app's effects firsthand.
We've gotten to solve an issue that we've all felt really personally.
So after cutting down these distractions, I was able to focus my time more on what I really wanted to do. So as a result, my relationships with my family improved. I could get closer to God because now I have all this extra time.
The young creators hope the app will be available to everyone within a year. Hundreds of pro-life activists marched through New York City streets to fight for the unborn on Tuesday.
Without exception, life starts at conception.
The 9th International Gift of Life Walk was held on March 25th to honor the International Day of the Preborn Child. The mile-long prayer procession went through the Canyon of Heroes, ending on John Street. Afterwards, pro-life advocates gave their testimonies, like Grand Marshal Rebecca Kiesling, who was given up for adoption after being conceived by rape. Several pro-life organizations are applauding White House plans to freeze federal funding to Planned Parenthood. If put into effect, the country's largest abortion supplier will see a pause on their $27.5 million in taxpayer funding. However, it wouldn't eliminate all support, such as Medicaid-funded health care services given after an abortion, like contraception, cancer screenings, and STD testing. Congress has allocated more than $286 million to support Planned Parenthood and its affiliates this fiscal year. It was 5 years ago that the world was plunged into chaos. Whole countries shut down because of COVID, a virus no one had heard of, and millions staring at an uncertain future. But in the midst of the panic of the pandemic stood Pope Francis, who on March 27, 2020, gave the world a glimmer of hope in the middle of a quiet St. Peter's Square. Currents News' Christine Persichetti helps us relive the moment.
It was a stunning sight. Pope Francis walking through an empty St. Peter's Square. It was March 27, 2020, just 2 weeks after the coronavirus was declared a global pandemic, when the Holy Father made history at the Vatican. Giving an Urbi et Orbi blessing while standing alone in this iconic square as the faithful took part virtually. This blessing is usually reserved for special occasions like Easter, Christmas, and the election of a new pope. But an exception was made on this day as Pope Francis led an extraordinary moment of prayer, praying for an end to the coronavirus.
Abbiamo proseguito imperterriti, pensando di rimanere sempre sani in un mondo malato. Ora, mentre stiamo in mare agitato, ti imploriamo. Svegliati, Signore.
The stunning gesture from the Pope during a time of uncertainty and fear across the globe was a way for the Holy Father to connect with the faithful spiritually, despite the quarantine, church closures, and lack of sacraments. Pope Francis closely watched as the pandemic developed. Italy was one of the countries hardest hit, with nearly 1,000 deaths every day. Just days before this special blessing, an Italian priest living in the same guest house that Pope Francis called home tested positive for the virus. During daily masses, the Pope prayed for people living in fear.
Preghiamo oggi per tanta gente che non riesce a reagire e rimane spaventata per questa pandemia. Che il Signore li aiuti a alzarsi, a reagire per il bene di tutta la società, di tutta la comunità.
And each day he would pray for a different group, from the sick to those caring for them, journalists covering the pandemic, and people living on the streets.
Preghiamo oggi per coloro che sono senza fissa dimora in questo momento, dove ci chiede di essere dentro casa.
But the Pope didn't just offer prayers during the pandemic. He jumped into action. He sent desperately needed ventilators to hospitals in Italy and set up an emergency fund to help those suffering from the pandemic. The Holy Father was the first to contribute, making a $750,000 donation. Pope Francis also encouraged the faithful to get the vaccine, calling it an ethical duty. And he led by example, as both he and Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI were vaccinated. The Pope even took part in a video campaign urging people to protect themselves as an act of love for others.
Vacunarse es un modo sencillo pero profundo de promover el bien común y de cuidarnos unos a otros, especialmente los más vulnerables. Le pido a Dios para que cada uno pueda aportar su pequeño grano de arena.
That was Christine Persichetti reporting. Of course, COVID had a big impact in the pews of churches around the world as parishes were forced to close due to the lockdowns. Only now, 5 years later, are we starting to see the amount of people celebrating Mass in the U.S. return to those pre-pandemic numbers. The Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate, or CARA, reports that Sunday Mass attendance has risen to 24%. That's almost 10% higher than the average attendance following the COVID lockdowns in 2020, and just shy of the average prior to the pandemic. Also growing the number of Catholics worldwide. According to the latest from the Central Office of Church Statistics, which reports to the Vatican, there were more than 1.4 billion Catholics around the world in 2023, a more than 1% increase from the previous year. The place where the faith has bloomed the most, Africa, grew from 272 million to 281 million. The report also showed almost 48% of the world's Catholics are located in the Americas. That is this current news update. I'm Katie Vasquez. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.